them. But I guess we're supposed to be told, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Skosana. No, members, part of what became our weakness was a shortage of time that we're given. It was only finalized yesterday, if I'm quite accurate. So we apologize for the late sharing of the advice. And as I said, the advice is just an advice, members, in terms of critical legal issues that would possibly affect the issues. So we are always open to say in this aspect, we don't agree with the approach of the legal advice or the presentation and stuff. So, but the concerns members are actually noted. Honorable Mvalo.
Yeah, thank you very much. No, Chair, I just want to propose a way forward as the guidance that I think you must provide to the committee, that members must be allowed to ask questions which relate to things which are not within the scope that has been given by the chair to the legal advice team. So if there are issues, for instance, which are outside the questions that the legal team was supposed to respond to, we must be allowed to raise them for as long as they are within the context of this committee.
Thank you, Honorable Mvalo. That's definitely correct. That's why I said it's an advice that we must interact with. We may agree with certain aspects and not agree with others, and feel that there is an omission on a particular matter and therefore it should have been covered. So that's how we're going to proceed, Honorable Mvalo. Thanks. Honorable Adams.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, I just think it's a little bit amateurish, considering the sensitivity and the importance of this meeting, that Parliament comes back here with a legal opinion. You should be coming back here with a legal finding, because an opinion is something that can be challenged. A finding is something that an attorney is saying, I am willing to risk my practitioner's license on what I'm committing to paper. So in the interest of transparency, Chairperson, considering where we're going, I think we need to step up a little bit. Thank you.
Remember, in terms of the terms of reference from the speaker, the findings are supposed to be done by you, not the legal services unit. So that responsibility, Honorable Adams, is given to you, not the officials of the legal services unit. We are here to do that finding and present to Parliament. Honorable Shabane.
No, thanks, Chair. I agree with our colleague that we must allow the legal opinion to be presented. So there may be two options that the joint committee may consider if the issues that need to be included. One is to give members of the committee, once the presentation has been made, we can consider to reconvene the session later on the other date, so that members are able to solicit views and contribute to that opinion. And I think that is important suggestion that we allow the legal opinion to be presented and matters raised. If the joint committee feels that there's still more work to be done, we can allow the opportunity and reconvene for a second session. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Shaban. We are duty-bound members to adopt the report before the 23rd. So we'll shape the discussion, we'll shape the approach, we'll shape the mechanism the Parliament should use in attending to these matters. But we are duty-bound to then come back and adopt that report as a true reflection of what we would have discussed in this meeting. Honorable Moela, coming to you.
Thank you, Chair. I think I'm also in agreement that we should allow the legal opinion to be presented, because it will guide us to do the work in terms of the terms of reference which were given as the committee to be able to come with those recommendations. I think it will not hurt to allow the illegal opinion, so that we'll be able to be guided to know which boundaries we should be taking and what legally are we binded to, because this particular matter, some might be sub judice or so, but with the legal opinion, will be able to guide the committee when we'll be indulging with this particular matter of national importance, and which will also guide the committee to come to the recommendations given a legal perspective, which will align our work. So I'm just saying, let's allow the legal opinion to make presentations and not limit our discussions even outside the legal opinion, as the Honorable Member has advised, which also align with what the agenda of today is, to deal with these particular matters in the terms of reference, and also to have a way forward and a guideline of which approach we should be taking in addressing this particular matter of national importance. That is my submission. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mwela. Honorable Schilling.
Thank you, Chair. Eventually.
Apologies.
No problem, Chair. It's because I have difficult surname. Chair, you know, it's 9:30. We've been here for a half an hour debating whether we should adopt the agenda and whether we should be discussing this matter. We have wasted 30 minutes of the citizens of South Africa's time debating something that we very much know we are here to discuss today. We should carry on with a legal opinion because that will form the backbone of what we are going to do. That will inform our terms of reference. So can we please, Chair, carry on with the agenda and get to a point so that we can discuss it, because we're going to be sitting here the whole day and at 12:30 we haven't done any of the work that we're actually supposed to be doing here. So while I agree that there are relevant questions that the other members have asked, I agree they're relevant and they needed clarity. But we also need to get to a point where we now decide, okay, this is what we're going to do. We listen to the opinion, and that can inform us going forward. Because as a committee, we're here today. We're not here as political parties. We're here as a committee, and we must together make a decision so that we can carry on with the work of today. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Can we call legal services to come forward? I'm going to come to you, Honorable Skosana. Can we call legal services to come forward? No, you are not going to present from the back. You must come forward here in front of members. One can sit here whilst one is presenting. Here. So that if you are going to change, they are close to the podium. Whilst you are coming, let's go to Honorable Skosan.
Thank you, Chair. For me, you know, if the foundation is not right, rush, we can rush because of time. But it won't help. Why the rush? If members have questions here, let's deal with those questions in this meeting. We can't be saying, no, you know, because of time, then we have to rush. If people have questions, I think you are capable of answering those questions. For me, from where I'm sitting, number one, before even this joint sitting, as a police portfolio committee, we needed to bring back South African police top management back to our portfolio committee before even this joint meeting. But for the sake of progress, because we are here now, let's continue, but let's not be rushed. That, you know what, it's a waste of time. People are wasting time. You know, if the foundation is not right, we're going to crumble. We can rush up to the 23rd because of time frames. But at the end of the day, there'll be a legal challenge. Then we are coming back here again. So we should not be intimidating each other and rush because of we want to complete the report. Let's do the right thing, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Skosana. That's noted. Legal services.
Thanks, Chairperson. Thank you, Chairperson, and good morning, honorable members. Chairperson, I just want to provide, my name is Zingisa Zenani. I'm from the Parliament Legal Services. And with my colleague, Angela Tejana, we're working together and we've been tasked to provide legal assistance to the police portfolio committee on police and portfolio committee on justice and constitutional development in regard to the Lieutenant General MKHWANAZI'S media briefing issues that arise from the media briefing by Lieutenant General MKHWANAZI. So, Chairperson, I just want to provide context of the issues that legal services has been requested to attend to. First, there was a request for a legal opinion that came before the instruction from the Speaker for the 2 or 3 committees to deal with the matter. The request that came from the Portfolio Committee on Police was for legal services to advise whether the sub judice rule finds application and whether the committee can proceed to deliberate without necessarily interfering in confidential police matters. So the issue was whether or not, in light of the sub judice rule, the Portfolio Committee on Police can deliberate on the matters that were raised by in the MKHWANAZI'S media briefing. So that was the scope of the initial legal opinion. And we are of the view that the issue has already been overtaken by events, but in any event, our legal input on the matter was that as much as there is the National Assembly Rule 89 that discourages or that directs that members of parliament cannot reflect on matters that are before court. However, in terms of case law, the sub judice rule should not be interpreted in a manner that hampers parliament from performing its oversight mandate. So that was our position in the matter, that the sub judice rule should be interpreted in a restrictive manner so as not to hamper parliament from performing its oversight mandate. So that was what the first opinion covered. There's been some developments, and over and above the first opinion, legal services has been requested to make a legal input on the best way for the 2 committees to deal with the instruction from this Office of the Speaker and advise these 2 committees on the best way of dealing with those matters. And it's that presentation that legal services has prepared to present this morning. That being said, I'm going to then hand over to my colleague, Mr. Tejana, to present our opinion. Thank you, Chair.
Good morning, Honorable Chairperson, and good morning to the members. Greetings to my colleagues as well. Chairperson, as my colleague, Ms. Zenani, has already alluded, we were here to present and, of course, give whatever options which Parliament may take if it feels, in its wisdom, that is what it wants to do. Chairperson, let me cut to the chase. I know that time is precious. Chairperson, let me start with a rhetorical question. What is the end game? Where do we want to find ourselves in? Where do we want to land? And in my view, Chairperson, the end game is to get to the bottom of the allegations made by General MKHWANAZI on the 6th of July, 2025, in order to improve policing and governance within the South African Police Service. Now, Chairperson, if you look at Section 1998 of the Constitution, it provides that to give effect to the principles of transparency and accountability, multi-party parliamentary committees must, it uses the parliamentary language, must have oversight of all security services in a manner determined by national legislation or the rules and orders of Parliament. But, Chairperson, we want to dissect the internal logic of what oversight means. And of course, Chairperson, borrowing from the work of the task team, which was tasked to develop the oversight and accountability model for Parliament in 2003. This is the definition they came up with. Oversight is a constitutionally mandated function of legislative organs of state to scrutinize and oversee executive action and any organ of state. And of course, Chairperson, the keywords being to scrutinize and to oversee. It is the crucial role of legislatures in monitoring and reviewing the actions of the executive organ of government. And again, Chairperson, the word that comes to mind there is monitoring and reviewing. Now, Chairperson, this committee or the committee system is one such mechanism for oversight and accountability. Now, Chairperson, I want us to speak briefly or to talk briefly about the scope and ambit of parliamentary oversight. And the question, Chairperson, being, how far can Parliament as an institution take its constitutionally mandated oversight function? Chairperson, you will agree with me that parliamentary oversight has got constraints. And one of those constraints, Chairperson, is the doctrine of separation of powers. And of course, Chairperson, at the risk of preaching to the converted, we all understand what the doctrine of separation of powers is. And I think, Chairperson, it would militate against the doctrine of separation of powers if Parliament were to be turned into a law enforcement agency or primarily as an investigatory body. Because, Chairperson, we know that those functions fall within the domain or province of the executive. And Chairperson, to quote from two eminent scholars, Parliament's control over the executive means influence, not direct power. It means advice, not command. It means criticism, not obstruction. It means scrutiny, not initiation. And it means publicity, not secrecy. Now, in terms of the presentation, Chairperson, that we have come to deliver to you this morning, you will agree with me, Chairperson, that there are issues which General MKHWANAZI has raised, which of course, in our opinion as legal services, do not require a formal inquiry in order for those issues to be addressed. One of which, Chairperson, is the issue of the status of the political killings task team. You will recall, Chairperson, that Honorable MKHWANAZI told the nation that there was a letter from Minister Mkono, which of course had directives about closing the task team itself. But of course, General MKHWANAZI told us that given the fact that that instruction did not come from the National Commissioner, the work of that commission is still continuing. We also know, Chairperson, that there's about 121 case dockets that were allegedly taken away from this political killings task team to Mr. Sibia's office by the minister. We are told that 5 of these dockets had instructions to arrest the perpetrators. All I'm trying to demonstrate, Chairperson, is that for this information, for Parliament to ask what is the status of these 121 dockets, I don't think this requires a formal inquiry, Chairperson. Then, Chairperson, there's an issue of filling of vacancies within crime intelligence. You will recall that General MKHWANAZI told the nation that, for instance, the commander of crime investigation, in KwaZulu-Natal, that post still remains vacant. So is the crime intelligence commander nationally. Then, Chairperson, there's an issue of delineation of roles between the police and IDEC. And of course, Chairperson, we know that in terms of the Constitution, which is Section 205, subsection 3, the object of the police service are to prevent, combat, investigate crime, to maintain public order, to protect and secure the inhabitants of the Republic, and their property and to uphold and enforce the law. So, Chairperson, our view is that these are some of the issues, Chairperson, which we refer to as the low-hanging fruit, Chairperson, which we feel even a committee of parliament with all its powers, Chairperson, can be able to call the member of the executive responsible for police and, of course, get clarity from him as to what is happening in relation with these matters. The other issue that we want to raise, Chairperson, is that Minister Mkhono is not clothed with legal immunity by virtue of him being on special leave. We know for a fact that he will be a material witness in the work of the commission, and should criminal conduct be found on his part, he will be charged and prosecuted. Chairperson, there's a meeting which took place on the 5th of March, and I recall that Minister Mkhono was asked whether he knows a person by the name of Mr. Brown Mokhotsi, and the allegations, because I was not in that meeting, Chairperson, that his response was that he does not know of such a person. And of course, we know now that he refers to him as his comrade and not his political associate. So those are issues, Chairperson, which Parliament can take either via the Joint Ethics Committee or the Powers and Privileges Committee. I mean, you don't need a formal inquiry for Parliament to do that. Chairperson, we will, sorry for that. Chairperson, the executive, Chairperson, as part of going deep, and of course, this is the end game that I was talking about, has appointed a Judicial Commission of Inquiry, which is led by Justice Madlanga. And Chairperson, allow us as legal services to give you our views. And of course, we know that at the end of the day, the members will have to decide. But there's nothing wrong with us nailing our colors to the mast. Chairperson, our view is that we know that in our country, and for good reasons, there's skepticism, about commissions of inquiry. Our view, Chairperson, is that the problem is not in inquiries per se, but the selective implementation of their recommendations by the powers that be. We know for a fact that people don't trust the executive, and I think Honorable Ngola just gave us the statistics regarding confidence in the police and so on. But Chairperson, we say that this particular commission is independent, and it is not executive-led. Now, Chairperson, if we can go to the options, of course, available to Parliament, and of course, members will deliberate on this, is the fact that...
Sorry, Chair, can I just get clarity? Did the presenter just say that it is invalid? I couldn't hear. Could you just repeat what he said about the Commission of Inquiry?
Okay. No. Okay, thanks. I think.
No, that's fine. You can give clarity. But it's
right.
important to ask.
Yes. No, it's fine. No. I'm not saying it's invalid, Honorable Member. All I'm saying is there is skepticism. About commissions of inquiry in general, and that is based on the fact that other people will say there have been commissions in the past and nothing happens. So all we're saying, Chairperson, is that we have trust in this independent Judicial Commission of Inquiry, insofar as it will answer the question, which we say is our end game, of going into the root of unraveling any veracity related here to. So, Chairperson was saying the problem is not commissions of inquiry per se, but I think our problem is that if there is no political will, as we have reflected in the constraints regarding parliamentary oversight, if there's no political will, Chairperson, then even the work of the commission will amount to nothing if there's no will to implement whatever recommendations. Chairperson, we say that, and I think my colleague has reflected on it. Parliament chairperson can choose the route of having a full-blown inquiry, and that can take, of course, the shape of the the Judicial Commission of Inquiry, which has been appointed by the President. But chairperson, of course, there are disadvantages to that, one of which we wouldn't want to duplicate the work which another commission is already doing. The second one, chairperson, of course, is an ad hoc committee option, chairperson. And of course, chairperson, as you know, that in terms of rule 253, an ad hoc committee may be established. And of course, an ad hoc committee may only be established for the performance of a specific task. And of course, once it concludes, on that task, it will have to go and it will have to be, its mandate to be terminated. And of course, it will have to report to the assembly. But of course, chairperson, the other point that we're making here is that whilst the ad hoc committee is seized with that task, the committees whose responsibility it is to exercise oversight over these matters would be denuded of that particular responsibility, which means that responsibility now will have to reside. And of course, there are formalities in terms of how an ad hoc committee is formed. The third option, of course, is the issue of having these committees working together. And of course, that is properly articulated in Rule 169, the conferring powers of committees. Chairperson, as we have said, we feel that there are quick wins. And of course, committees of Parliament, Chairperson, if you're looking at their powers, in terms of Rule 167, in terms of Rule 227, committees of Parliament, Chairperson, can, in our view, Chairperson, deal with the issues that were referred to as the low-hanging fruit. Chairperson, because we know that this is a highly charged issue, we won't take your time. Thank you very much, Chairperson. We will take questions. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Advocate. I'm going to come to you now, Honourable Skosana. Is there a show of hands that we can start with to open the floor for questions? I've already noted Honourable Skosana. I'll come to you now.
Sorry, Chair. Members, just so that we are clear on it. It may be a question, it will be responded to. It may be a comment in trying to give a direction on what we need to do as the joint committee. So, thank you, Chair.
Okay. I'm going to go, we'll do the entire list. I've noted Honourable Skosana first. I'm going to start at the back as well. Honourable James, Honourable Muela, Honourable Trollip, Honourable Swart, Honourable Manye. Sorry, I don't know. Umvalo. Next to you. Sorry, I don't know your name. Thank you, Honourable Member. Is it Alpha? Honourable Garner? Honourable Adams? Start Honourable Skosana.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I was a bit lost, I must be honest with you, whether the presentation which we are given and what the legal advisor was giving us, for me, when I look on what he presented, I don't think we've got the same legal opinion which he was reading. My second question is, where is the Advocate Z Adakiri, the chief legal advisor? That would be my second question. But what I've seen on the screen there and what I have here differs altogether. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Chair. Allow me to firstly express my dissatisfaction and in the manner in which this matter is being dealt with. First and foremost, when the news broke on the 6th of July, I think on the 7th of July, there was robust engagement from the Portfolio Committee members for us to convene an urgent sitting, which was obviously ignored, and today we get told about time constraints. There's been media briefings. There's the letter from the speaker saying that the 3 committees needs to sit, which we are now being told it's not 3, it's 2. So I'm also not clear on that. Where's the other committees that are secret committees? It's silent. We are now being told about the legal opinion. And for me, honestly, I'm not sure if I'm the only person in this room, but the legal opinion almost feels totally disconnected to the actual matters that we are supposed to be discussing. The legal opinion this morning almost tells us and just reaffirms our mandate in terms of what we are and what we are not allowed to do. We are here to represent the people of South Africa. This is why we are here. And I think we would have wanted more guidance in terms of the outcome, the findings of the allegations that has been made, which are concrete. So much time has lapsed since these allegations, and today we are given a presentation filled with nothing. Skepticism, the chairperson, the person that presented said there's skepticism in the Commission of Inquiry. I think, yes, that is true, because we've had many previous commissions of inquiries, and even though some of them has findings, there's no actions. I think if you can give us just 3 or 4 of these commission of inquiries where there was actually a finding, where action was taken against those involved, that would be appreciated. And I think that would also just sort of reaffirm the trust of South Africans. I'm also concerned here today, why isn't SAPS here? I would have loved to see, and again, Chair, it goes back to so much has happened, but nothing has happened. Had we sat earlier, maybe we as the Portfolio Committee would have had then an opportunity to engage with the executive, and that hasn't happened. I think I'll leave it at that. I have other questions, but I think this just specifically now relates to the presentation that I really don't understand. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable James. Honourable Muela.
Thank you, Chair. Co-chairs, and thanks for the opportunity again to engage on the matter. I think let me first welcome the legal opinion from the legal team, and also just to indicate that it was a short synopsis of what we have received this morning with regard to a full-blown opinion on the matters in relation to the allusion, the MKHWANAZI allegations on these particular matters. So, but first, Chair, I want to say that the opinion is saying that there are 3 options which the committee can follow with regard to dealing with this particular matter. The first one being that we must have a full-blown investigative inquiry, which might at some point not opposed to the commission, which is in line, which is also doing a full-blown inquiry with this particular matter. And they also cautioned to us that we must not at some point do the same processes with that the commission is doing when they were alluding there. The second one, they said there's an issue which in relation to Rule 253 of Parliament, ad hoc committee, which is more focused kind of an ad hoc of a committee in relation to what is it that we want to achieve and the terms of reference which the committee might like to follow in dealing with this particular matter. And also the third one they said is the issue of the joint committee, with regard to the Committee of Police, Justice and Intelligence. So I think to my submission, Chair, I think maybe we can look into second option of the ad hoc committee as the committee when we want to deal with this matter. More so because the ad hoc committee is more specific on what is it that we are going to be dealing with. Because we are also given a responsibility to come with terms of reference as the committee. I think the terms of reference of that committee will then guide as to what ad hoc committee seeks to achieve with regard to the terms of reference that were given to us. So my submission to the joint portfolio committee is that we can take the route of ad hoc committee, develop terms of reference as the committee of what is it that we want to achieve in dealing with that with this specific matter with regard to this particular submissions. So as and when we dealt with the terms of reference as the committee, then we'll check as to how far can this particular ad hoc committee given with regard to duration, because the commission is that in 3 months it must be submitted to the president, and it's in 6 months it must be submitted to the speaker, which will also going to come back to the committee to play oversight and to check in terms of the particular recommendations. It means with ourselves, the ad hoc committee must not at least take more than 2 months to deal with these particular matters which are before us here. Because by the 23rd, as the terms of reference of the speaker is that we should be saying to the speaker, if we agree with the route of ad hoc committee, that we're going to take ad hoc committee, and this is the line of concentration which the said ad hoc committee that must be established will be focusing on. So I think if we agree on this particular matter, we'll then agree on to which line of operation are we taking as the committee. I think for now, I want to say that let's focus on the issue of ad hoc committee, and then once we outline the terms of reference as the committee, we'll then direct our focus on to that particular terms of reference which would have been agreed on. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Mwela. Honourable Trollip.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I won't repeat what's been said, but I do want to say that in the Speaker's original recommendation about how this matter should be dealt with, she said we should avoid duplication. I would venture that there is already duplication with the JSCI dealing with this separately. Triplication, in fact, with the Commission of Inquiry taking place. And that is always a red flag when too many people are doing the same thing in different directions. Then with regard to the legal opinion, as far as I'm concerned, it wasn't a legal opinion. It was just reading some parliamentary rules to us that we are aware of. And then also the presenter presented some things that this committee should be looking at, or this joint committee. Cherry-picked some things that he described as low-hanging fruits. This is not our responsibility to pick low-hanging fruit. Our responsibility is to get to the truth of the allegations made in public by General MKHWANAZI. And then lastly, for fear of repeating some of the stuff that's just been said, there is a Judicial Commission of Inquiry. It's been appointed by the President. It's taking shape. It's going to take shape over the next 6 to 12 months, which is ridiculous as far as we're concerned. And then the presenter seemed to assume that we were going to accept that this was going to be the third option, which is the two committees working in tandem because there are common issues of concern. No. We want the most effective, most efficient way in Parliament to get to the bottom of this so that we can stop the rot in the police services. We can't wait 12 months with more people dying on the streets and more people helping themselves through nepotism and corruption in the police services. So I believe this committee should be making a decision, and that is why we wrote to the Speaker and asked the Speaker for a full-blown parliamentary debate, which would have informed her what the most effective and efficient way was to deal with this matter. At the moment, we're wasting time, And we're not going to get to the bottom of it if this is the so-called legal opinion that we've got. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Trollip. Honourable Swart. No, Chair, thank you very much. I believe that as the public are watching this, I think they are deeply concerned about the lack of progress and the fact that at this stage already, as was indicated earlier, we're already an hour later, and where are we headed? I appreciate some of the aspects of the legal opinion, but the public want to know urgently what Parliament is going to do about it. I think the expression about skepticism about judicial inquiries is correct. Whilst many of them have done good work, it's the issue of recommendations. Now, the benefit of Parliament sitting, we can hear matters, we can call witnesses, they get immunity from whatever they say here. I appreciate that we're not a criminal investigation, but we can go deep into issues as the public demands that we should, urgently. The benefit, as opposed to a judicial inquiry, is that our recommendations and findings, once they're accepted by the House, can be enforced through our oversight mechanisms. That is a very, very important point. Whilst the judicial inquiry's recommendations need not be accepted, we can, once we accept it, we can ensure that our recommendations are accepted. I'm not sure if I heard the presenter correct, but I was uncomfortable about saying certain things should not be looked into. Maybe I misheard it, as I misheard about the invalidity, but something about the alleged decisions about police killings task team and the unlawful removal of 121 case dockets. It seemed to be, the recommendation was that we shouldn't be looking into that. Now, I would differ from that starkly and say we need to look into those issues, if I understood that correctly. The exact format of what it's going to be, whether it's two committees sitting or an ad hoc committee, I think we will then discuss the benefits of that. But I think at the end of the day, the last issue relates to the issue that Honourable Matthys raised, and I think the Joint Standing Committee of Intelligence, because the instruction from the Speaker was that we three committees need to jointly bring a report. Now, I appreciate they sit separately behind closed doors, but how are we supposed to jointly deliberate and bring a joint report? I think we might need to go back to the Speaker and say, but at the moment, that's not going to be possible because they are sitting separately. So, Chair, from my perspective, I think we need to finalize very quickly the format. What are we going to do? Are we going to have an ad hoc committee or two joint committees sitting? The fewer people involved, probably the better, but you need the institutional knowledge. Lastly, I want to emphasize this point. That is, with any parliamentary investigation, inquiry, or a judicial inquiry, we've also got to make sure that the separate portfolio committees are ensuring that the police continue to do their work and investigate these matters. Because that's what happened previously when suddenly Parliament's dealing with it, the Judicial Commission's dealing with it. Therefore, police, we sit back and we're not investigating anymore because it might suit our agendas. They must continue doing their work of investigating these issues. Prosecutors must continue prosecuting. So there's an oversight. There are parallel issues that need to be taken with. Thank you, Chair.
May I just ask for your indulgence? I know that I'm not in the... But when you requested that members must raise their hands, I would have thought that it was because you wanted them to put questions. So now that I hear members are already into what do they think must be a way forward, may I also be recognized as a speaker in the list?
We'll add you at the end.
Thank you very much.
No, we'll think about it.
Honourable Manye.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, let me foreground my submission by saying that when Mr. Ramaphosa said ANC is corruption number one, is accused number one in corruption, that statement went unchallenged by the ANC itself and by the Integrity Commission of the ANC. So therefore, I'm sitting here, I'm taking it as a fact because it was never challenged. Now what we have the boss of a corrupt institution that must now sit and preside over a report by judges and so on. I'm nervous about that. I must just table that, Chair. That a person says, I'm running a corrupt institution, is number one accused. A boss of corruption is now at the apex of receiving a report by judicial officers. It's a worry for me. I mean, also himself is not totally clean. There's pala issues and so on, but that's not what I was saying. But I just thought I must just table that, Chair, which then means that the role of Parliament can be de-emphasized because we're dealing with rogueness at all levels. So therefore, the role of Parliament must be strong. And I want to respect some of the things that have been said by the legal people here, the doctrine of separation of powers. And I would, with all the excitement that could be around in this House, I would really appeal to members that I think let's stick to our knitting. We are an oversight body. Let's do the oversight. Let those that have got the active role do what they need to do, as it were, so that we can keep to ours as a body that must do oversight. So I want to suggest, Chair, that there are two institutions. There are two processes that we must oversight. The one process that we must oversight is this judicial commission. This judicial, and I think before I go further, I think let's be clear, first and foremost, that some of the expectation by the market, by the public and all of that about the importance of the Judicial Commission of Inquiry might be misplaced. That excitement might be misplaced because the fact of the matter is that a Judicial Commission of Inquiry, their findings and recommendations are not legally binding in the first instance. So I've never been excited about these commissions. They are not legally binding, and there could be a whole range of reasons for this. And that's not what we're here for. But bottom line is that we have people that are dying every day. We are investing time and energy on an institution that cannot find a person guilty or innocent, that cannot ascribe liability, but want to spend all the time on this body. I'm struggling to understand why we're doing this. But be that as it may, I'm suggesting that I'm going to make 5 suggestions. I'm suggesting that we oversight this body. And the legal opinion made 2 points around this, that we need to do 2 things, oversight and scrutinize. Part of what we must scrutinize are the terms of reference. So therefore, the first point in terms of oversighting this judicial body is to demand or request the terms of reference for this committee to scrutinize to see if this, because one of the things I got worried about when Mr. Ramaphosa was dealing with the terms of reference, he was going through all kinds of hairy-fairy stuff about the longevity of this and some long-term strategy about almost like how to rebuild a strong criminal justice system. Yes, that is important. But right now, we're in a state of emergency right now. We have 121 dockets that have been archived. We've got 51 political killings dockets that are not being acted upon. We've got an urgent issue right now. So we can't have, that's why we therefore need those terms of reference scrutinized here to make sure that they are focused for a short-term delivery, as it were. So I'm saying, Chair, there are 2 things we must oversight. One is that judicial commission, but the other is a criminal investigation. I think we must be clear that this judicial inquiry does not suspend criminal investigation. General MKHWANAZ'S must continue with the criminal investigation, must arrest people that he must arrest. I think we must make it clear, Chair, that the fact that there is a judicial commission of inquiry that does not insulate people from being arrested tomorrow. The point must be clear that the fact that there is this inquiry is not an insulation that, okay, I'm on holiday now. No, there's no holiday. So I'm saying the committee must make it clear that the Mkwanas must arrest people tomorrow, the next day, and all of that. And we must supervise what Mkwanazi is doing. As this committee must come here, give regular reports so that we can give him all the support he needs. And then, Chair, one other thing that got me worried in this process is that I think we are creating all kinds of technicalities for people to get away with murder in this thing. There's a dispensation that applies to politicians. Politicians are not governed by LRA, but there's a dispensation that applies to officials. Officials are LRA material. I get nervous when I just hear somebody overnight, absence of leave. I don't even know that terminology in the LRA space. But be that as it may, what we should advise is that officials that are not politicians must follow process proper. For instance, this General CB, as an example, who were told is on leave of absence, one would have preferred that there should first and foremost be a proper disciplinary process that is in place. You're given time to say, give me reasons why in the next 24 hours you cannot be put on precautionary suspension and all of that, all of the legal LRA processes as it were, so that tomorrow we must not use this process as a procedural issue, and that would now all of a sudden become a technicality to absolve him, even on other things as it were. So we want to encourage that how you deal, because there is a lot of officials that are involved here. There's a Mohotsi there, I don't even know where he fits in the scheme of things and all of that. All I'm saying is that let's just make sure that in this exuberance that is out there, proper processes are followed. And then, Chair, I want to propose as well that I think we should also have a multi-party parliamentary oversight to protect witnesses. This whole case will turn on the protection of witnesses, something that South Africa is terrible at. People are going to die in this process. We don't want another Babita situation. So what is it? There has to be a very clear pronouncement about how to protect the witnesses. And I don't hear what's happening with that space, Chair. And the last point, Chairperson, is that in terms of resources, I think there must be a pronouncement that is made that the criminal investigation must be properly resourced. And what's going to happen now, we're going to have some kind of, I'm sure, special appropriations process to resource this judicial inquiry with findings that are not legally binding. We're going to put all the money there. And then when Mkwanazi wants money to get all kinds of gadgets and all kinds of specialization, all kinds of support on something that must happen and must arrest people, and then he hasn't got the resources. So I'm saying, Chair, can we ensure that the issues of resources, particularly for criminal investigation, is a box that we must tick? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Manya. Honorable Nomvalo.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chair. Chair, I just want to start my submission by dispelling a notion that if we initiate our own process, then that will be tantamount to precipitating some duplication. I think that is neither here nor there in the context of separation of powers, Chairperson, and in the context of our constitutional responsibility to oversee the work of the executive. The establishment of the Commission of Inquiry is just an executive decision. which has got nothing to do with what Parliament is expected to do in this context. Subsequently, Chair, I agree fully and I align myself 100% with a proposition that says judicial commissions are nothing but just an academic exercise, which to the larger extent does not yield any positive and constructive and tangible results. In KZN, for instance, there was a commission of inquiry that was established by the former premier, the Morane Commission, which was investigating the political killings in the province. How many people have been arrested out of that? I think they completed their report some years ago. I think it was in 2017, 2016. But to date, no one has been arrested. The KZN police establishes a political killings task team. And they say, according to the version of Lieutenant General MKHWANAZI'S, that within the dockets that they had opened, 5 of them had instructions to arrest. Now, I'm trying to weigh here the weight between the two, commission of inquiry and an investigation that is undertaken by the police. Now, I'm saying, Chairperson, if we want to abdicate our constitutional responsibility or subvert it or donate it rather to the executive by saying, let us be confined within what has been given by the head of the executive, which to be done by the Judicial Commission of Inquiry, then we will be running with a spear pointing it to our chest. That will be suicidal. Let's do what is expected of us in terms of the South African Constitution and in terms of the principle of doctrine of separation of powers. Because doctrine of separation of powers primarily give a distinctive role to each organ of state. And our role is to do oversight. And I think in this regard, the head of parliament has done justice by saying committees which are vested with responsibilities to oversee these entities which are involved in these allegations must do their work, must advise parliament on the way forward. So I don't know why now we're caught in between, and I don't know why we want to donate our responsibility to the executive, which is severely implicated in this regard. Because within the allegations that have been made by General MKHWANAZI'S, he goes on to also allege that there are judicial officers and there are prosecutors who are involved in conniving with criminal syndicates. And then we say, no, executive, do everything, we'll just oversee. So the proposition, Chair, that I'm making to this committee is that we do have a constitutional responsibility to initiate, or a constitutional right rather, to initiate our own process in this regard. In terms of Section 56 of the Constitution, which says that the National Assembly may summon any person to appear before it to give evidence on oath or affirmation or to produce documents. Section 227, the Portfolio Committee may monitor, investigate, or inquire into and make recommendations concerning any such executive organ of state. Now, there is no crisis here. The law provides direction on what must be done. And I think, Chair, if we initiate our process by saying that this committee must initiate a process, one, of calling the complainant, which is General MKHWANAZI'S, because in this regard, he's a complainant, to come and present to this committee in its formation the allegations and make substantiations to the allegations that he made during the press briefing. And then we will take it from there. We will make a determination of who else must be called after that presentation has been made. And we'll make a determination of which document we may need to summon to this committee. So, Chair, I think we're taking a wrong direction if we say, let's just oversee the work of the commission. I don't have confidence in a commission of inquiry. I think it's a wasteful, it precipitates wasteful expenditure. It's an academic exercise. It just plays a tick box exercise and it does not produce any tangible results. That is my submission, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Then go to the Honourable Member next to you, whom I don't know your surname. Apologies.
I did tell you my surname, Litchfield Shabalala.
Litchfield Shabalala.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning to the honourable members. I think the beauty of speaking after so many people is that you are covered by the time it's your turn. But I just want to emphasize two things, that the allegations made by the General about the judiciary itself and the executive. So we can't sit here as these two committees and be told that this commission is different. We should have faith. We can't operate on faith. We need to operate on caution, because as it was repeated and said, our people have lost faith in the police and the judiciary system itself. And if that is lost, it falls on these two committees. So while we respect the separation of powers, but it should not be applied to confine us. So I support the fact that we should call General MKHWANAZI here to speak to these two committees. But also I support the view that as MK, we don't think that we need a commission of inquiry. There's a slide running around, too many truths are told in jest. There's been about 17 in Cyril Ramaphosa's time already. And another running joke about us, and too many truths are told in jest, is that lightning hit. And when a minister came to assess the situation, he said, we'll call a commission of inquiry to do what? To investigate lightning. So these commissions of inquiry truly waste a lot of money, and they're academic. We are past academic. It's like we are in a house and water is coming through the holes. That's where we are. We are at an emergency mode. So I would really move that as the two committees, we should scrap that judicial inquiry and let that work fall here and in the police.
But where did you get this commission of lightning now?
Well, I'm going to go to the Honourable Matafa.
Thank you very much, Chair. Good morning, chairpersons, members. Chair, let me thank the presentation by the legal unit and maybe start by refreshing my memory. As far as I can remember, we are here as directed by the Speaker to determine a way in which Parliament should respond to the severe and serious allegations made by Lieutenant General MKHWANAZI. And in the directive, the Speaker then allocated the work to 3 committees because the allegations cover the areas of those particular 3 committees. Now, we receive information from the chairs that the Intelligence Committee is operating on its own, probably is their way of operating. So my view is that when we are done here, to be in line and in compliance with the letter from the Speaker, on the 23rd, we should propose to Parliament how it should respond to these allegations. So currently there is no view, but a proposal that was made by Honorable Moela that an ad hoc committee should be what we are proposing out of the 3 that were presented from the legal unit. Now, Chair, I want to start firstly by supporting that proposal that an ad hoc committee be established. And I can see the legal opinion is saying it has some constraints, but in terms of motivating those that will be requested to come and make representations, and I agree with the two previous speakers, that individuals, including Lieutenant General MKHWANAZI, must appear before whatever body that this sitting of today resolves upon. But that should extend to everybody who we believe or who they believe can assist the inquiry going forward. Using the word of inquiry, Chair, this joint sitting of two committees cannot establish an inquiry. It can only recommend to the Speaker. An inquiry is established as a decision of the National Assembly. Now, that is why we are here. Now, Chair, having said that, I want to put it on record that as the ANC, not only did we see the revelations by MKHWANAZI as a threat to national security, but we saw it as a direct assault on the fabric of our constitutional democracy, that there can be such criminal infiltration to our police services. And as the ANC, we are committed to supporting any effort to get into the bottom of establishing the truth. Hence, we will start by saying we support the establishment of the judicial inquiry as established by the President. And I think, with all due respect, Chair, we from the inputs that members are making, I think they did not listen fully to what the President was saying. Because over and above investigating the allegations as made, the President directed that the Commission should be in a position to further establish legislative gaps that exist and that require plugging in terms of ensuring that this kind of infiltration does not happen in the future. And Chair, it is not correct that Commission of Inquiries are a waste of resources and do not bear results. I will give a simple example. In the Nugent Commission, very senior individuals were removed from SARS. And as we speak, SARS is now collecting 2.3 trillion of revenue. The total cost of the commission, 8.8 million. Bain & Co. was forced to repay 164 million. The Zondo Commission, as we speak, Chair, it would have cost 1 billion, but it was able to have 10.6 billion assets frozen, 64 billion rands in civil claims were filed by the SIU, and SARS was able to receive 4.8 billion in unpaid taxes, and were able to also successfully recover over 5 billion. And legislative reforms were introduced as a result of the Judicial Commission of Inquiry into state capture. Now, Chair, the legal opinion, as it was presented, it looked at 3 areas as far as I'm concerned. 1, the legal standing of our sitting, and accordingly, they do indicate that we have the legal standing, and that supports the assertion by Honorable Nomvalo that we cannot ignore our constitutional responsibility to play oversight over the executive. So there we are fine. I would want to propose that should this sitting agree on the only proposal made of an ad hoc committee, we infuse in the terms of reference the oversight over the Judicial Commission. The President states that the 3rd month and the 6th month interim reports must be produced and be submitted. So our view is that those reports should also find their way to this body that this particular sitting will resolve upon. Because at the end of the day, maybe through you, Chair, Ndade Manyi, Ndade MKHWANAZI speaks about 3 areas: the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature. And in response, the president says once the final report is received, it will then be further sent to the speaker and the chief justice. So if there are recommendations that the report makes on action that has to be taken on the executive, the president will have the report. If parliament, in terms of legislature, have to respond, because there are members of parliament that MKHWANAZI are saying are part of this particular cabal and cartel, the parliament must act accordingly, and the chief justice must act on those magistrates and judges then that the MKHWANAZI is actually implicating. But of significance for the ANC, Chair, is that the president is saying we are not going to wait for the final report to come before we act. The commission is empowered where they see evidence, where they see cause for action in terms of prosecution. Immediately those particular institutions empowered by law to take that particular action must act. And this, Chair, is not foreign. You would remember when the Zondo Commission terms of reference were amended by the president to ensure that we do not wait for the conclusion of the Zondo Commission. Referrals to investigative and prosecuting authorities are done immediately as they are picked up in those particular entities. So, Chair, I will close by saying I support the proposal that was made by Ntate Muela that we fall into a ad hoc committee. One consideration for an ad hoc committee is that the rules of parliament prohibits people appearing before committees of parliament to have legal representation present. But in an ad hoc committee, you are able to bring legal representation. So I'm saying this, Chair, because I believe that because this case has a very big potential of prosecutions and people ending up in jail, they will be reluctant to appear in front of committees where they are not covered legally. So I would support the ad hoc committee in that regard. Honorable Swartz, I think it is, speaks about a debate that they had called. I want to implore the sitting that we support that proposal. Is it Honorable Trollip? Thank you. Honorable Trollip speaks about a debate. From the ANC chair, we will be very comfortable to have that debate happen parallel to all these investigations, because we have not had a situation where political parties were able to take the nation into their confidence in terms of how they view and what they wish to happen as far as these allegations are concerned. And I think the proposal of a debate, Chair, while these other processes are running concurrently, is sound. So those will be my input, Chairperson. But once again, thank you very much for the legal opinion. I think it is well received, and having read all of it, I'm quite okay that it is a legal opinion and there are no gaps. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Matafa. Honorable Ghana.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, Parliament must do what Parliament is established to do, which is to hold the executive, to scrutinize the work of the executive. So when one reads or listens to the legal opinion, it says to me that ourselves as members, because sometimes when we discuss these options, you might think it's other people, but actually it's ourselves. It's what do you want to call yourself? That's what it is. Whether it's an investigative inquiry, it's an ad hoc, it's a joint, it's ourselves. Now you need to then say, all right, how do we want to move? That there will be some kind of a coming together of members of parliament to look at these allegations. It's not what's in question. So that's accepted by the three options. Now, how do you then weigh the three options? It's which of the options arrive at the decision quicker, but still allows the two committees to do the work that they need to do. That's what the question is, effectively. So, I hear my honorable member Miel and honorable Matafa advocating for an ad hoc committee. At least I'm old enough to remember that there was once an ad hoc committee, and Honorable Swarti will remember, that looked into the public protector. It was supposed to be so quick. It lasted over 2 years. It lasted over 2 years. So sometimes when we make these arguments, and one of the reasons that ad hoc committee lasted as long as it has, Honorable Matafa, and that's why, and you please, I'm arguing against it. It's because of legal representation. It's because of legal representation. You know what's the good thing about a joint committee or us in this form? Is that there's no legal representation. We get to the truth without legal representation. Because let me say, there's a case of the former president of this country. It's been dragging on for 20 years because of legal representation. If you don't want to do anything, have a committee that's got lawyers in here. Everyone will come armed with their lawyers. A so-called witness will be sitting there for 5 days because everyone wants to have their bite. Everyone wants to have their bite. Why is the Senzo Meyiwa trial not concluding? It's because everyone wants to have their bite. Now, does that allow us to get to the bottom of the truth quicker? I'll argue not. I'll argue not. But are the members, so if we were to establish, if we were to call ourselves, because that's what it is, the conversation is, what do we call ourselves? Because it will be us. It will be us. Are we saying, if Mkwanazi or Minister Mtunu or General Masimula comes here, we don't have the capacity to question them, that we need an evidence leader, we need lawyers? No, it's us. We are here to oversee the executive. Now, the route of the ad hoc takes us into a prolonged process, not a shortened process. Not a shortened process. And the recent issue of the former public protector must at least ring true. At least to some that were here, how long that took. So, for me, and you know what's the advantage of having the two committees as option 3 is that the portfolio committees will continue to do their work on these matters. They don't have to pause. So the function of committees in overseeing the executive will continue. But when you go to an ad hoc committee, it's like, but you can't ask me there and ask me there and ask, no. So, and it answers the point that the Honorable Swart made.
around the need for institutional capability and memory. So there are things that the police portfolio committee members know that the justice don't know. And there are things that you know that we don't know. Because when I look at this, effectively, we are dealing with the NPA, we are dealing with IDEC, which is justice. We are dealing with the police and the task teams involved, which is the police. The best way you can deal with that is to trust these members who are in this room right now to look at these matters. Because sometimes, the thing with ad hoc committee, and this is why I don't like them. I know others enjoy them and so forth, is that some of the people that then get seconded to these ad hoc committees, mostly they go there because of political seniority and how everyone focuses on those committees. Then they get seconded, but they haven't dealt with it. They don't have the institutional knowledge of the issues. Now they go there and play politics, and this thing drags on for 2 years. And so the other reason, Honorable Matafa, that I will not argue for option 2. You are saying in your submission that this ad hoc committee or this committee, and you're supporting ad hoc committee, you are saying it must live on for as long as there's the commission, so that when there are interim reports, this committee looks at it. And I will then argue that the committee that then oversees, Honorable Mike, the committee that then oversees the Judicial Commission is the Justice Portfolio Committee. It's there. It's us. They're here. It's not someone else. So you trust them to deal with it. If there are recommendations from, or in the interim, recommendation that relates to the police, that will then go to the Police Portfolio Committee. I will not advocate that we have a much prolonged period. I would say this joint option 3 must be able to work for the next 3 months. Ask the questions that it needs to ask. If we then need to submit that report to help the Judicial Commission, it can be done. But ours, when all is said and done, it's about keeping the people of South Africa safe. That's what we are after. And to ensure that this mudslinging and the political infighting and the infighting in the police, intelligence, NPA, IDEC comes to an end. That's why we are here. And as I rest, Chair, let's learn from the other ad hoc committees of Parliament, how long they lasted, and what kept them running for so long. Compared to, for instance, the joint committees. So yesterday we presented a report. It was a joint committee of police and agriculture on farm attacks. We were able to move fast. But had that been an ad hoc committee, it will still be sitting right now. It will still be sitting, I tell you. But because it was the joint committee focused, it's not like we're asking to investigate everything. The allegations are there. We know what we're investigating. We even know who are the people to call into the room. General MKHWANAZI'S, General Masemola, Minister Mtunu, the head of IDEC, the head of NPA, General Khumalo, who was heading the political task team, is now crime intelligence. These are the people that must come and answer questions that South Africans are asking. We are here to represent South Africans. And as I learned, I therefore do not see this being done by an ad hoc committee. Ourselves, jointly as we are, can hold the executive and the officials accountable. I submit.
Thank you, Honorable Ghana. Honorable Adams.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, Honorable Ghana, for covering everyone. Chairperson, I think from the offset, the biggest failing of this institution is repetition. And for this reason, the NCC cannot support this ad hoc committee. It's only going to replicate what's supposed to be the work of these people in the sitting right here. But I want to just ask something, say something rather. The initial instruction from our speaker was that police, justice, and intelligence would sit together and investigate this matter and make a determination. Intelligence has been removed from the committee. I'm sure we'll get the answer sooner or later. But if only intelligence was sitting in this meeting, it would be so much easier. Because the idea of intelligence has submitted a report into the rot and the corruption in the South African police services to previous Minister Beketshele. That report was suppressed. In this year, the IG again sent a report to now suspended Minister Nkunu. I emailed the minister. I asked him to bring that report to the portfolio. He never responded. If intelligence is here, we can ask the Inspector General to produce these reports. It will save us 70% of what we mean to do. I'm not sure if this is a deliberate attempt to slow down our progress or to hide the truth. But surely intelligence must be here. And if it's for security reasons, they are welcome to join us on Zoom with their cameras off so that we can question them. And then I just want to say, you know, so much has been said about General Nkanazi and the allegations he made. And I find it very, very suspicious that a full minister is suspended. We can use whatever nice terms we want to. He's suspended. And the Deputy National Commissioner is suspended on the basis of an allegation. But 7 seniors, generals in SAPS, are charged and they're still at work. And General Nkanazi is coming out in defense of these people. He's saying that this is an HR matter. Explain something to me, all of those who love General Nkanazi so much. General Lushaba and General Kumalo, they instructed Colonel Mobaso to buy 200 million rands worth of laptops that have never been issued to SAPS. Right across the road here, organized crime is working from cell phones. They don't have laptops. How is this an HR matter? How is it that we're talking about the lie, the alleged lie that Minister Nkunu told the police portfolio regarding his relationship with Brown? But the National Commissioner could lie about the brigadier that they brought from BMW. How is this okay? Why are we targeting certain people as Parliament? We are eulogizing General Nkanazi. I, as the complainant in the charges against those 7 generals, when this portfolio called me a madman before they were arrested, I, as the complainant, am connecting the dots. That staged press conference with a general who now seeks additional protection, where what looked like an armed militia behind him, it was a threat to this country. Let us call it what it is. He was trying to incite policemen to take action in the event of whatever it is that he knew was coming. Let me tell this committee what I suspect was coming. As the accounting officer for the South African Police Services, I suspect that the National Commissioner himself is up for arrest. And that press conference was nothing more than a preemptive move. And the country appears to have fallen for it. General Nkanazi must appear before this committee. The National Commissioner must appear before this committee. The IDAC must appear before this committee. General Kumalo, General Lushabo must come and sit in front of this committee. And I want to appeal and actually ask that we make it a recommendation that every member of this committee that has ever met with any law enforcement or investigative body or given them a statement or had a conversation must come clean and tell us what he said. I will be the first. I know Honorable James had that conversation. I have a suspicion there are a few more other people that are hiding things within this committee. Now, in order to clean out the service, we must all be honest. We can't demand accountability from the boys in blue and hide things right here. I then also want to just say, that we've lost many fine police officers because of corruption. I'll mention a few names. General Andre Lincoln, General Vieri, General Theo, General Langweni, and some of us here have lauded these dismissals. But what is the common thread? It's the same corrupt cabal that is now before the court in Joburg. Why are we not talking about this? This thing is much bigger than a press conference called by a Lieutenant General from KZN. The entire top management of the South African Police Services appears to be corrupt. This is the basis of what we need to do. This is what we need, where we need to start. I want to just say to Honorable Matthys that I note the complaint that you laid to the Speaker about the chairperson of the Police Committee. I would take it one step further without making a single accusation and ask of the chair, if it's not in the best interest of this committee, this joint committee, that you recuse yourself for the sitting of this process. Because, Chairperson, you did prevent me from going at these generals over the issues I've just mentioned. Even when they lied to the committee, you did not allow me to interrogate. So, not an attack on you, Chairperson. I believe that you are a good chairperson, that you're a good man. I think you were misinformed at the time. But maybe it is best that just for now you come and sit next to us and allow the rest of us to take this fight forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Adams. No. Next up is Honourable Totsetsi.
Part of the reason that request, Chair, is that Chair of Police, part of the reason there's that request that you must sit next to us is this continuous tendency of mispronouncing my surname.
Then I should step down immediately.
Thank you very much, Chair. Let me appreciate the report that came. I think the first thing first, that we must be able to deal with, Chair, is what we have always had concerns about. The protection of whistleblowers in this country. And as the first thing, we must be able to say, it is only fair that that regardless of how some amongst us clearly feel about General MKHWANAZI, but we must agree that he must be able to benefit in the protection of the state. Of course it does, but given the fact that there is a lot which he has been brave enough to bring to the fore as it relates to the malfeasance, we must take interest on whether there is sufficient protection that he is enjoying. And I think that the committee in particular on police needs to find a way to ensure that such becomes a reality. Now, Chair, I must also say that in line with what Honorable Matafa would have raised earlier in supporting, I think it was Honorable Swartz or Trollip, I'm not sure, but Honorable Matafa would have supported.
Just on a point of order, sorry, the honourable member takes exception to have his name mispronounced. He must please not identify two white males that are bald as the same people.
Let's continue.
Okay. Honestly, they confuse me. They look like. Thanks. My apology, Honorable Trollip. But I'm saying that in light of what Honorable Matafa would have supported, I would also want to emphasize that perhaps we must join in the call to have a parliamentary debate on this matter, so that we really allow all the parties to ventilate their side of view. as it relates to the state of the police and safety of our people generally in the country. Because I think that such is a major concern for all of us to have the police force being infiltrated in the manner in which General MKHWANAZI would have articulated. And from how the police force would have dealt with a number of issues, it's very easy for even members of the public to relate with the fact that there is a serious problem within the force. And I think that these revelations give all of us a platform to dig deep and once and for all find a solution, not to the issue which has been ventilated, but to the general problem which confronts the police force and the other entities of law enforcement in the country. Chair, coming back to what we are requested to do, now I would want to support what Honorable Swartz would have mentioned. To say that when you deal with such things, really you need to empower yourself with the necessary capabilities to attend to this kind of things. It may be the necessary experience, it may be the necessary knowledge, but you need to empower yourself with some sort of ability to confront and be able to deal with these things. And at times, it's not always obvious that the committees in their composition are inherently in a position to possess those necessary capabilities that would be required for Parliament to comprehensively attend to the matters that are before us. I do agree, Chair, that there are issues which we must be able to address as an immediate task of oversight. Issues that relate to what would have happened to the dockets that have been withdrawn, what would have happened to those investigations that have been articulated that were a direct responsibility of the team that was dealing with the political killings. And since it's in existence, why are we not having those kind of dockets being reinstated to the table of that kind of a team so that it's able to conclude its work? We may need to make follow-ups on the questions of Medicare, the money that was, the contract of that value, very big contract. What would have informed the cancellation of that contract, and if there is areas of of corruption and so forth, what would have been a consequence management on the part of the force? So I'm saying there are major issues that deal with the transactions or issues that have been flagged by the general that shouldn't be difficult for the committees to deal with. But you have issues that I think that they are quite they require even a further detail. And further expertise on how Parliament would want to deal with them. You would understand that the Global Initiative Against Transnational Crime would have raised serious concerns about the capabilities of South Africa to attend to problems of organized crime. And since this complaint has been issued, we haven't, as a country, been able to demonstrate improvement in this regard, or even an initiative to try to attend to this concern. And this concern speaks to the sustained or sustainable way in which we can be able to attend to the problem of organized crime. So these are some of the areas which I think that if we are to give a comprehensive response to, we would need to bring into the fold knowledgeable individuals that can be able to assist this kind of work to move forward. It is for that reason, Chair, that I would align myself with the view that an option of an ad hoc committee, and I agree with the latter part of Honorable Ghana when he said that we must learn. Part of the lessons which we must be able to draw from that kind of an option is what it is, or what is it that is avoidable that would have made it to stay in position for a long time. Lessons that we would be able to draw from ad hoc committees that have been there in the past. But beyond a concern of a time that which it stays in position, we must be able to say whether it is able to give out an output that is sufficiently arresting the problems for which it was established. Because I think sometimes we get concerned over things that don't matter. It's like people who get concerns that the Zondo Commission was, in the Zondo Commission we spent just over R1 billion. But what are the outputs that came as a result of that expenditure? You have many billions worth of assets been recovered by the country. You have corrupt people being pursued by the state. You have monies that are being recovered, and way more than what the commission has been able, the expenditure that the commission was able to, the expenditure which the commission then had. So I'm saying that we can't also, Chair, fit into the narrative of being concerned over small things and not educate our people to look into the impact of the work that we are doing, whether it's able to reach or achieve its intended objective, over and above the semantics of saying that, but the time is going to be there for a long time and so forth. I mean, that is what we must be able to respond to as a committee. So I would really support an option of the creation of an ad hoc committee with the necessary capabilities to attend to this issue, deal with what is the mandate of Parliament in as far as this issue is concerned, and ultimately, what is it that Parliament, in its view, can be done sustainably by the country to arrest the problem of organized crime. So I think that would be my input. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Honourable Shongwe.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, as I'm sitting here, I ask myself, what is Katisini is? What time is it? Katisini, let's speak so much. And does Parliament understand what is Katisini is right now? Chair, what is important is the trust that we are losing from our South African voters and South African community at large. And to us as MKP, that is very important because we value those people. I'm sitting here reminded of an advert by DA then, which said, DA is Afani. I'll wait for an advert and DA is Afani and the ANC. Because their interest is only blue lights and power, not South Africans. Honorable Matafa stands up, speaks here and says, and mislead the Parliament and says, it was for the first time after the Zondo issue that South African SARS collected over trillions. It was Obabu Tom Moyane who collected 1 trillion for the first time. ANC prides itself with the Zondo thing, which we spend $1 billion on it, for no ROIs, no return of investment. You can't be excited of frozen assets. Assets are frozen while the case is still pending. Once that person wins that case, those things come back. Where is that excitement? Chair, sitting here in Parliament, we are an ad hoc ourselves, the most cost-effective ad hoc. We don't require more money to be spent on us to attend this matter. General MKHWANAZI'S goes to the public and complains to the public about South African matters that he can't get assistance by the national parliament on it, including the president there. He goes to the public that voted for us and speaks to the public ukuthi mphakathi nayi inkinga esibhekane nayo. Now umphakathi uyamuzwa uMkhwanazi ukuthi uyakhuluma and ukhuluma into ezibalekile ezibhlungu. Umphakathi is asking themselves ukuthi we voted for public representatives, which is us. Umphakathi is waiting for public representative that Mkhwanazi complained on. Ukuthi they must be represented as they voted for public representatives, which is us. The president takes the podium and indirectly tells South Africans, South Africans, for you to trust SAPS, please wait 6 months or 12 months or many years. We are going to have e-commissioners ezodila nale ndawo. When this matter takes long, this is what we lose. Trust the abantu base South Africa on South African police. This matter already tells South African ukuthi amaphoyisa ase South Africa, we can't trust them. So I can say this, Chair, with pride. As I call myself a comrade to Comrade Umanyi Magakuluma, some of the matters he touched, he covered me. I can proudly call myself his comrade and call him my comrade, because that means, the word comrade means I know this person, I trust this person, I can go with this person to war. I believe that this person would never sell me. Now, DA, ANC, they want an ad hoc committee. What is that different from the saying, Yagababu Mkhulu, when he says, I don't know U Brown, and later comes and says, this is my comrade? Go Google what's the meaning of comrade. Chair, today, let me quote something. Thursday, I write on our group, the police group, the committee. I say, Chair, please, this time around, do not protect your people. There's no reasons needed for us to call an urgent meeting on this matter. As we deliberate, the group is closed. Only admins can speak on that group. That's number one. Number two, when there was a request for CR17 files to be opened, the same thing happened. There was legals that closed those CR17 dockets. Number three, we continue to design this nice thing called ad hoc, which is very, very costly. What are we here for as members of parliament? Are we here to collect salaries and defer umsebenzi to other people? Is that what we are here for? We are lawmakers. Therefore, umthetho uqala la ugcina la. That's why as Umkhonto weSizwe we always say this Roman Dutch law is an apartheid designed to cover a lot of things. This thing is in Indebele. Ubaba MKHWANAZI has taken this thing emphadlweni. And this matter should be discussed as such in public, not hidden. Why must we take so much money and give it to abanye abantu when we can do the job here? I ask, Chair, aniyekeni lento yenu. Aniyekeni nje lento yenu. Abantu base South Africa now are in serious trouble. Sila, I may be saying something as on king, but sila ukuthi South Africa iyekulweni kuzoliwa South Africa. Sila, if we don't develop trust ebantwini again, sisenkingeni. And this is the only chance we have, Chair. This is the only chance we have. The only reputation Mr. Ramaphosa has is the reputation of commissions and no deliverables. MK cannot be part of the parliament that does not deliver. That one cannot happen, Chair. Not Spila, Chair. Asinamsebenzi ne blue light. DA can cover ANC and their corruption because they are afraid of bazoluza blue lights. They can do that. It's true, DA suffered. DA now has interest. They have something to lose. They have seats to lose if they stand with South Africans. They have blue lights to lose if they stand with MKHWANAZI. So we can't be doing that now, Tina. What we want is a better South Africa that has authority esebenzayo. So I ask, Chair, as we are going to close this matter, can it not be ukuthi base nivale as if we said we want the ad hoc? Tina, we want us to deal with this matter. And urgently, Chair. Because if we don't deal with this thing urgently, what are we saying to South Africans next week? Can they trust our police? We've got women who are being raped. We've got women who are being subjected to ukushayiwa amadoda and all those things. We are going to tell our people where there is money, police won't be effective.
Hey, person, point of order.
I
think we're busy with grandstanding here now, with speeches in Parliament, and we're drifting off of the issue. People are watching us, and they're getting more disappointed by the minute.
Okay, members, can we wait, Honorable Skosana, wait a little bit. Please switch off your mic. Members, can we focus on the ball at hand? If we are busy fighting each other, those whom we are supposed to represent will suffer the most. There's been proposals that have been made already. We are capturing them. So can we please, I plead with all of you to focus on what is at hand so that we don't divert and get busy with things that have got nothing to do with what we are trying to shape here, all of us collectively. The other person Honorable Shongwe, on a lighter note, people who said people must go to Google in the higher education committee caused a serious fight. So I was worried when you say people must go and Google that, hey, let me check if there won't be a fight here. And also, members, an ad hoc committee is a fully fledged committee of parliament comprised of members of parliament with all political parties represented in that. So just that, members, can I plead with you that we take the last remaining tree There are an addendum, Honorable Mtetwa or Honorable Mateus and Honorable Dena. Okay, I'm coming to that, Honorable Skosan. Honorable.
You do note I'm not done, right?
You're not done.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Wait, members. So we're going to come back to you, Honorable Shongwe. So we're going to take. I don't know, I'm coming to you, Honorable Skosan. But I want us to do the last round of members who couldn't submit their views. So we're going to come back to you if you are not covered, Honorable Adams and Honorable. Let's start with the members that have not yet said anything. We're going to attend to you. So left is Honorable Mtetwa, Honorable Mateus, Honorable Dena, Kanimambo.
Thank you, Chair.
And Honorable Mshala, Honorable Shabane. We'll close it there, members. Honorable Shongwe is not finished his point. Honorable.
To make a point of order, Chair. The last, I'm not sure, Honorable, the one who says grandstanding and other issues. I wanted to say some members here spoke about a lot of issues, and we kept quiet. We listened. They spoke about SARS. They spoke about a commission, about public protector, about the state capture commission, and we kept quiet. Now he's raising an issue because maybe it differs with Chongwe. He was happy when others were talking about other issues which has nothing to do with what we are going to talk about here. We're talking about the term of reference and what they presented here. But now she can't dictate now because already this thing has been. I mean, there's a lot of issues which are at there. I think, Chair, from both of you, maybe you can guide us. But already, the horse has bolted. I mean, we are talking about issues that Zondo is dead, and the other one has collected so much, as we heard. My colleague has already said. Now, I'm asking the member to respect my honorable member, Yeshongwe. Please.
Please, Kosana. Please switch off the mic. We have pleaded with everyone that can we please avoid being inward looking. I know we are a conglomerate of different political parties that have got strong views on different matters, that have got a strong ideological characterization in terms of their ideology. But this matter is solely about the people of South Africa. Can we, for once, unite to protect the voice of the people of South Africa? Honorable Shonga, can you wrap up?
Thank you, Chair. I think I'm the first person to be told to wrap up here. Bonke bayeke bakhuluma many times as they wanted. Chair, let me give you point of reference in this matter. One, Kwanazi said there's politicians in this matter. Two, there's police, which is authority. Three, there's parliamentarians. Did I speak of anything other than that? And in this thing, the public believes Uguti Chair. As parliamentarians, some of the parliamentarians are going to do their best that they play a delay tactic on this thing or cover this thing, which is what my honorable is trying to do. So I'm not going to mince my words when we are speaking about something that is of public concern. Can I kindly not be disturbed on that, Chair? Can I have your protection on that? And can you rule on that I didn't speak of something out of content? Before I continue, Chair.
Proceed, Honorable Shaw.
Can you rule on
already spoken on the matter? Please.
Thank you. Now, Chair, let's not lose focus. I think we have one thing in common, which is what we want: a better South Africa for South Africans. But the interests are different. Some have something to protect, some have people to protect. So as I conclude, sir, I would ask that we as the parliamentarians do not lose this opportunity of telling our South Africans, Uguti, they can trust us to deliver. They can trust us as parliamentarians not to waste their time. Chair, this matter doesn't need 6 months to be finished. It has evidence. It has people we can call here. The question is, we are committees. The first thing that should have happened was committees meeting on this matter and deliberating on this matter before these sanctions that came and tried to stop us. Now we are given 3 options. We are given, take a note, we are given 3 options to choose amongst those 3 options. Why? Are you trying to channel us? Can we have us as parliamentarians speaking amongst ourselves and design what we want, how we want to handle this matter? I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Shongwe. Honorable Mteto.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Eugene Mteto, a member of the Portfolio Committee on Police, and I'm deployed by the EFF, which is obvious. Having said that, Chair, I want to draw your attention to the legal opinion on paragraph 29. That starts by saying, from what has been presented in the media briefing, there appears to be no demonstrable or substantial prejudice that may hamper or interfere with the administration of justice if the committee is called upon to consider the matter as per the Speaker's referral engages with the issue. So we are given that green light, and it is highlighted in bold in the opinion that we are given that green light that we can deal with these issues. But what becomes a concern or a challenge? At the same time, we must wait for the Commission of Inquiry to now give the natural justice to what the allegations are about. Because we haven't heard the other side of the story. So we must wait for the investigations to be completed by the Commission of Inquiry before we become the portfolio committees entrusted with the responsibility of holding the executive accountable. We are General Mkhwanazi, and General Mkhwanazi is us. And this is clearly displayed by the hands-off General Mkhwanazi campaign that is happening currently in different provinces by ordinary South Africans. The very same people who have appointed, who have brought us here to represent them, they are currently saying hands off Mkhwanazi. And this is primarily because they identify themselves with what General Mkhwanazi has desperately done to draw the attention of the powers that being, because I believe that the media briefing by Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi is a deep outcry and a desperate measure as a last resort to get a hearing. He must have gone through protocols, proper protocols, to highlight his frustration, his concerns, but nobody acted upon that. And I want to quote Madiba when he says, it does not matter whether the cat is black or white, as long as it is able to catch the mice. So whatever is said about General Mkhwanazi on other matters matters not. What matters now, it is what he has brought to our attention and to the public's attention. South Africans are shaken to the core, Chair, and wondering if they still have a policing system that can be trusted. More than the salt it is to us and the public that the president can now call for a commission of inquiry. He has the general understanding and knowledge of many people that commissions of inquiry have not brought much. Whatever that you can speak of trickling feta of the returns from those are in the books in the public space, people see nothing tangible from the commissions of inquiry. And it's a very costly exercise. So I'm saying it is sold because it displays, first and foremost, no confidence in us as the constitutional structures under Parliament that are entrusted with the oversight over the executive, including the President himself. We are entrusted with that oversight over him. But it is said that he can run faster than us, and gag us from doing our work and show us that we are not capable. In other words, he's indirectly saying, I don't trust the portfolio committees that are entrusted with the oversight on these issues. I would rather have a commission of inquiry at a very costly exercise. Regardless of our austerity budget, South Africans are deprived basic services, Chair. Businesses are struggling to meet the demand due to power cuts and load sheddings. Increasing levels of unemployment to even affect doctors who were formerly privileged in the apartheid era. As students, when they completed their studies, they would be given loans and be given access to financial services and money that they can utilize to buy homes and buy cars without even being employed at that time. That was the privilege. Today, doctors are unemployed. Students are dropping out of universities because of debts. And yet we have a president who swiftly feels that an unnecessary cost on an austerity budget such as ours, he puts a commission of inquiry. There's no commission of inquiry that has met its deadline previously. It will go and go and go, and then there's a need to extend the term of its existence. We know the Zondo Commission was extended. We therefore see this premature pronouncement by the President in response to such serious allegation as, first and foremost, reckless, as they were hurriedly done as a delay. For me, it is a delay tactic more than anything. He doesn't want to remove Mkhunu and confirm that there is something wrong. It's a delay tactic. We are not only members of Parliament, we are also politicians. We also read the political environment. We are heading to elections. So this commission of inquiry must go even beyond. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes beyond election times. They are baseless as they undermine the constitutional prescripts around the delegation of power over appointment of ministers. We know that. As an acting minister of an acting supposedly appointed minister yet to be appointed, whilst the other one is sitting at home enjoying the pack. 3 ministers. The pronouncements are showing so much uncaring of our government that adds a burden to taxpayers who are overly burdened by the bloated GNU cabinet, first and foremost. A salary for a minister accused of corrupt activities whilst on special leave. Whilst the acting minister would also be drawing a salary from his acting role. The establishment of a commission of inquiry is insensitive of the very austerity budget. Thus, we would have recommended an ad hoc, which is less costly than it is us who are forming that ad hoc committee. It is us, as you correctly said, it is us who are forming that ad hoc committee, which would not require a huge budget, by the way, than the budget that would be taken by the Commission of Inquiry. Portfolio committees are deliberately made open to public in order to gain public's confidence. And as such are the ears, the eyes, and the mouth of ordinary South Africans. Post this process, why would South Africans trust the role of the portfolio committees that can be single-handedly outruled by the president and be replaced by the president who ought to account to the very same portfolio committees? We have been rendered redundant. We have been rendered useless, Chairperson, by the establishment of the Commission of Inquiry. I agree with Honorable Ghana when he says, we as portfolio committees are capable and we can deal with these issues. But in the case where it is felt that portfolio committees, I don't know what would be the reason for portfolio committees not to be able to deal with the issues. Then an ad hoc, even if it takes 2 years or 3 years, Mr. Ghana, it is far better than a commission that can take 5 years at a very huge cost. So, Chair, even the latter speaker from MKP, that speaks about a ticking time bomb. The mere fact that people are on the streets before anything happens, it is a ticking time bomb. Should anything happen to Mkhwanazi, I want to second the very notion and the sentiment that this country will see fire. Madiba is no longer here to quench the fire that could have happened when Chris Hani died. General Mkhwanazi is us. We are General Mkhwanazi. And as I close, Chair, I want to plead with this portfolio committee and other committees jointly that we can make those recommendations. I support the ad hoc committee as a better option because it also allows the very same committees to participate in that ad hoc committee. Unlike the Commission of Inquiry that suspends the work of the committee and the confidence that people of South Africa must have on us. The president is accountable to us. He must know that. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mtatwa. On Matriza.
I thought you didn't want me to talk again, Chair. I know I've been talking a lot.
You abused your time when you started.
As I'm going to be right now, I think there seems to be a general consensus that we must have an ad hoc committee, which is what we were called here for this meeting. Well, three committees, but there's only two. Don't forget that I've noted that. So we've got consensus on that. The EFF obviously supports the ad hoc committee. We did write to the Speaker on the 7th of July requesting that the National Assembly convene and we present a resolution that the ad hoc committee needs to come via a resolution of the National Assembly. And I think our next meeting should just be on the terms of reference, which is what we are discussing. And I think that can be a separate meeting, and that will be a wholesome approach to how we need to move. I think this meeting was unnecessary in the first place. The legal opinion, and I share Honourable Trollop's, that it was more just restating what we already know about procedures, but nonetheless, at least we presented that we tried to do something thorough, and we hope that it wasn't something that we were just trying to steamroll. And it is unfortunate that I also just want to express my opinion with Honourable Ghana that we can't equate something on such a national importance and reduce it to a two-committee or a joint committee inquiry. I mean, if we've done inquiries into corruption at SABC and other matters, this far exceeds anything like that. And also to think that a joint committee that dealt with imaginary farm killings is on the same level of this Honorable Ghana, you have broken my heart. So yes, Chair, we're happy to move in that direction, and we can set up our next meeting as soon as possible to get into the terms of reference. I will just encourage the chairs of the committees to take the members of parliament into confidence when whatever the process is on us doing the terms of reference. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Matthias. Honorable Tena.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I'll be quick. I think it's common cause with regards to the legal opinion that we can proceed with our work without any fear of interfering with other processes. I just have a question, and many of the members have mentioned it with regards to the Intelligence Committee, who are not here either. I don't see the sense in probing something if you can't probe the entire thing. So splitting this inquiry into two will duplicate work, and I don't think we'll arrive at the answer that we're looking for. So we have to look into that, Chair. Then many people have said something about the Commission of Inquiry. That ship has sailed. We can't change that. But people's trust in commissions, as low as people's trust in commissions of inquiry is, just as low, their trust is just as low in probing commissions or committees of parliament investigating things, joint committees, ad hoc committees, etc. So I don't think that beating around the bush and extending this process will at all help with regards to the trust that people have in parliament. So I will suggest that we proceed now by doing our recommendations to the speaker. And I also support the idea of an ad hoc committee on the condition that it's not made up of 20 to 30 to 40 people. The idea with an ad hoc committee is that it's streamlined, that it can probe a certain issue or do a certain investigation and make recommendations and is finalized. I don't think with respect to Honourable Ghana that an ad hoc committee necessarily dictates that there has to be legal representation. I think the circumstances dictate that. I may be wrong, but that's my submission with regards to that. And then, Chair, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just asking. But I'm not, let me say, I'm not sure. I'm asking whether or not the Honourable Adams may have alluded to a proven conflict of interest by being a complainant in this very matter that we are supposed to investigate. Can a complainant also be an investigator? Maybe it's a good thing, I don't know, but I'm asking with regards to that. And those are my submissions. Thank you, Chair.
You, Honorable Mahlatsi.
Thank you so much, Chairperson. Chairperson, while we are discussing individuals and mentioning names of complainants, my request is let SAPS be the winner in all this, because we are discussing options, and the next thing we'll be discussing in terms of reference, in terms of the scope of the investigation or inquiry. I want to remind you that we are dealing with SAPS the structure that is rotten and that has been rogue for the past 20 years or more. We are dealing with police generals who have been acting as board of directors to ensure that no national commissioner succeed in their position. I will make examples in terms of the operational framework of SAPS that has ensured that SAPS does not reach its full potential. Now, we have a division of crime intelligence that is reporting to the Deputy National Commissioner. On its own, it invites interference on investigations, manipulation on organized crime. The crime intelligence must report directly to the National Commissioner to avoid delays and transparency. And we have also a division of crime intelligence that oversees counterintelligence. These are two divisions that have different mandates. The other one, crime intelligence, deal with the interception of crime syndicates, patterns, and gang-related issues, while counterintelligence deal with insider threats, personnel security, information leak, also the issues of vetting. Now, what I'm saying to you is the person who's responsible for vetting crime intelligence is reporting to crime intelligence. Now, when we deal with these commanders that you are referring to, we also have to ask the question of, are all these members being vetted? That is why you have characters that you don't know where they belong in this picture. It's because this is a structure that is rotten, that ensured that people can operate without being known. So I want you to understand this system before you think of establishing anything. And at the end of the day, we need a structural reform that will enhance the work of the police and protect honest police officials. And when you look at this thing that is happening, that is unfolding now in our spectacle, we've seen this before, but we are pretending as if we have never seen them. Once we put individuals and say, this one did this, this one reported this, now you are inviting trouble. You are not solving the actual problem, which is the SAPS that is rotten. In 2015, we had issues of McBride versus Pahlani. It was 2015, 2 years before the ANC National Conference. And today we have this one of them MKHWANAZI'S and them 2 years before the National Conference. So this is a system that has entered into politics. And now we want to discuss as if we were independent. So when you form this ad hoc, you must also consider the independency of the ad hoc. So I like to also to agree with one of the colleagues who says we must not go there to destroy individuals. We must go there to fix the SAPS that is rotten. I submit.
Thank you, Mahlatsi. Honorable Mhlala.
Oh, thanks so much, Chairperson. Let me take an opportunity and
Take your mic close to you. Can hear you? Sure.
is it proper? No, I say thank you so much, Chairperson, and your co-chair there. And let me start by greeting members of the Portfolio Committee. Chairperson, I'm not going to speak long. I've got a few points. I think in general, we all agree that there must be an ad hoc committee. Listening to several speakers today, they are agreeing on that. So as the economic freedom fighters, we are actually advocating for that. But we don't support this committee, not blindly so, and not in ignorance of what has happened before. We support it with clarity, conditions, and courage, because we know that ad hoc committees in the past have been derailed, captured, or rendered toothless when Parliament failed to protect its own integrity. Chair, we support it because the crisis is too big for business as usual. The allegations made by Lieutenant General MKHWANAZI'S are not just institutional, they are systematic, and they touch on political killings, the drug cartel, the judicial compromise, the SAPS and executive interference, and the possible protection of corruption at the very top, including within cabinet itself. So this is not an ordinary matter, and it cannot be used into business as usual, or maybe of a single portfolio committee. We need a dedicated, focused, and empowered structure, an ad hoc committee with agency and teeth to deal with this national security crisis, Chairperson. I want to remind you of some ad hoc committee that failed us before, the Nkandla ad hoc committee. we don't forget all those things. I heard another speaker talking about this. That's why we had to go back. And then the section 25 of the land expropriation without compensation is of that results as well. And then the ad hoc committee that also dealt with the political party funding, there's also some problems. They delayed for a longer times and all those things, and end up coming with some decisions. So in terms of that, I just wanted to mention all those things so that when we move here, we know that we're going to deal with all those smaller things that we must deal with so that we don't get derailed. We ensure that we represent the public with integrity and respect of everything that we are having. Chairperson, the legal opinion spoke about a lot of things, and some of them, yes, we agree when it spoke about that subjudicial what care. We agree on that. It touched on that, and we agree. But I'm worried. It is very silent on some issues that Lieutenant MKHWANAZI mentioned. It must, please, can in future request them to give us a legal opinion in terms of the leave of absence. And the other thing, it must be, we must get an opinion on dual salaries and financial abuse. More especially of appointing 2 ministers. We have 2 ministers in the country. The other one is just that is on leave now. Can they give us that as well? They must not just hide issues. They must give us proper political, legal opinion so that we know where we are moving going forward. Lastly, I want to re-emphasize on the irregular and deeply concerning process by which this meeting is convened. According to the Speaker's referral and original guideline, 3 committees, namely the Portfolio Committee of Justice and Constitutional Development, the Police, and the Joint Standing Committee of Intelligence, they must gather here today and discuss this serious allegation raised by Lieutenant General MKHWANAZI. Today, however, only 2 committees are present, and there's a confusion about the whereabouts or role of the 3rd committee. We are told that the Intelligence Committee is sitting somewhere else, dealing with the same matter, but how is this justified? What gives any chairperson or administrative functionary the authority to split a joint referral and have committees meet in silos on a matter that is clearly interconnected and has a national in scope? I think, Chairperson, let us be clear, this cannot and must never happen again. When Parliament refers matter to multiple committees, those committees must meet together unless a joint resolution or ruling determines otherwise. Splitting oversight across corridors disconnected from one another undermines the credibility, coherence, and seriousness of this process. I'll end there, Chairperson. I think mostly on everything we agree, and we are supporting the view that the matter must go to ad hoc committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Shabana.
No, thanks, Chair. I think most of the issues have been dealt with, and all of us, we support the establishment of the ad hoc committee. I also want to share
Excuse me, Chair, I had my hand up. I'm not sure if you missed me or...
No, remember I have said, I'm going to note those who have not yet submitted their views. Then I'll come back those who had noted want to come for a second bite. So we have not forgotten you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I also want to share my attitude with that shared by the DSG on the comment of Honorable Ghana. Chair, there are commissions when they're established and time when it's extended. There's reasons because of insufficient information or evidence that should be submitted to the committee. That's some of the reasoning some of the reasons that are occasions when commissions or other committees are engaged on the responsibilities that have been assigned. And the argument of time is does not necessarily find expression in terms of the work that the teams or commissions at the committee has been established. So I think it's not necessarily a matter that could have been waged on his part. Secondly, Chair, we want also to propose that part of the terms of reference in terms of interacting with all the stakeholders, it must not only be General MKHWANAZI as a complainant to the subject matter. We ought to have a responsibility to invite all stakeholders that are involved. General Masemola, the minister involved, and any other person who has been mentioned on the complaint that has been raised by General MKHWANAZI. So the narrative that suggests that we must only invite General MKHWANAZI as part of the terms of reference, it may not assist the other committee to solicit evidence so that we're able to have a conclusive decision in terms of submission to the National Assembly. So I propose, Chair, that as part of terms of reference, we must invite all those that have been mentioned so that they're able to contribute. The third point, Chair, which I want to conclude, is that it is important that we appreciate the swift response of the President on the part of the executive to establish the commission to look on the matters that are before the President and the nation. And our task is to focus on the areas that the legislature ought to engage with in relation to this matter of the ad hoc committee. The last point, Chair, is on the matter of the intelligence subcommittee or the portfolio committee, which I think is a matter that both the chairperson may need to establish, or the speaker in terms of the mechanism that when they established ad hoc committee, because it's mentioned on the correspondence of the speaker, how are they going to get to be involved in the ad hoc committee, so that when it is established and is needed to interface with the ad hoc committee, there must not be an issue that arises there, that they are sitting somewhere and the ad hoc committee is running somewhere. So it's an important area that the chairs and the speaker may need to find a way mechanism that they form part of the ad hoc committee. And the last point, which I think I agree with Honorable Mine, is also how we're going to formulate protecting whistleblowers that are going to be witnesses when the ad hoc committee is going to interact on this process. It's an important area that Parliament or the ad hoc committee may need to take a resolve on. I want to submit here that we may need to have a way to establish systems that also protect the whistleblowers. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Motion.
Thank you, Chairpersons. Thank you for
Please hold on, Honorable Motion. Members, I remember we have said we'll start with the members who would not have been able to submit before we can take any second round. And second rounds are going to be very restricted to 1 minute. Honorable Measure.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I firstly have to confirm the support of the ACDP for an ad hoc committee, and also want to plead that that committee has to work at top speed. The people out there are demanding answers. And I also would want to plead with Parliament, the whole of Parliament, to take the warnings about sitting on the time bomb seriously. I would be surprised if within 6 months we don't see trouble in the country. People are angry, it is a fact. And when you see crowds in the streets protesting and saying, hands off General MKHWANAZI, one cannot underestimate the fact that something could be brewing. So we do not want to find ourselves in a space where there is fire in the country and people say, but you were warned. You did not listen to what the people were saying. there is evidence that there are people who respect and trust General Mkhwanazi more than they trust the police. The police, unfortunately, have discredited themselves in a number of ways. And as a result, they are not trusted. Somebody came to me last week about an issue that needed urgent attention from the police. It was a case of criminals planning something, and he asked me a question. Which police should I report this to? Because I do not want to go to a policeman or a police station that is part of the problem that the country is facing. Now, what do you do when you are asked, who do you trust? Refer me to a policeman you trust, and you are not able to do that. So this is a situation we are facing in the country, because I also have a challenge when it has to come to who can I trust with something very sensitive. Because you hear stories of people going to report, and before they arrive home, the person that they were exposing calls them. I know, they told me. So people become afraid. They have information that can help deal with the issues we are facing, but they're afraid to come out. So my colleague spoke about whistleblowers. It is a concern. What is going to be done to protect whistleblowers? If we want to solve the problem of criminality in the country, regardless of what kind of criminality it is, then people have to trust protection from the state, because they are exposing themselves to danger. So the issue of sitting on a time bomb, I want to plead, I repeat it, we have to take it very seriously. We know that we don't have an effective intelligence department. We don't have it. What happened July 2011? We don't want to see a repeat of that. 2021, July 2021. We don't want to see a repeat of that. And some of you would remember, if not all of you, that it took 3 days even before a police stood up to say something. It's like the police were hiding that time. Because now people have heard that the politicians are involved in the corruption in the country, the police are involved, almost everybody has been painted. They want to see what Parliament is going to do. And I would also plead that the ad hoc committee is not bound by, don't move or respect the separation of powers. I understand that and I agree with that. But when people want to talk and this ad hoc committee want to dig, I would suggest that they be allowed to dig, because waiting for 6 months for a solution because of the commission of inquiry that will have to sit maybe for 6 months, I don't think that is fair because of the urgency of the moment. 6 months is way too long, and our ad hoc committee should conclude whatever they will be doing within 3 months, and then a presentation be made to Parliament. Now, if members of Parliament decide we want action to be taken before the Commission of Inquiry has concluded their investigations, are we going to say there's nothing we can do? Is Parliament going to say to the public, we are waiting for the Commission to conclude their investigations when they shall have had responses and evidence? Because when the General Mkhwanazi says he has evidence, why should it take more than 6 months as if you are starting from scratch? Because he says he has evidence. Let that evidence be tested to see if there is a need for additional information and evidence. So I want to plead, chairpersons, that let us ensure, let us request those who will be part of the ad hoc committee to move at top speed. If you listen to the temperature on the ground, not what's just in the papers, listen to what people are saying. People are angry. And before anything drastic is taken by people on the ground, I plead that the other committee should move at speed for the sake of the country. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Masha. Honorable Member, you have been complaining. I've just arrived in you now. Yes.
Well, thanks, Honorable Chair. My name is Sam Matias. The lady was sitting here is the TSG. Her surname is Mateis, so we're not related. Honorable Chair, I would not want to spend much of your time. If there was any time that the DA should be on a drive to, in a spirit of scaremongering, that the sky will fall if nothing is done, and even make threats that it will withdraw from the GNU. That time is now. And its silence is worrying. But nonetheless, the DA understands the system even better than us. Two, Honorable Chair, your delay to act and to convene a meeting like this to take a decision on whichever options need to be considered, you effectively subordinated Parliament under the executive. To wait for a man who was in Brazil to come back and only wait for him to make a pronouncement, effectively surrendering the power of Parliament under the executive. In pursuit of the principle of separation of powers, Honorable Chairs, there are two errors that we need to avoid. I do not want to indulge you in history. Members have already canvassed the mistakes that were committed in the past. The Marikana Commission, which was appointed to bury the sins of the former President Jacob Zuma by his friend, who is now the President, Ramaphosa. And Ramaphosa appointed a commission called State Capture Commission to bury not the sins of his predecessors, but the sins and the corruption of the totality of the ANC as an organization as a whole. And thirdly, he is now appointing or has appointed a commission to look into these allegations by Lieutenant General MKHWANAZ'S. Again, under the heavy mountain, the huge mountain of secrets, he wants to bury his own sins. But nonetheless, we can proceed in the knowledge that we've got the people behind us. In pursuit of the principles of separation of powers, Honorable Chair, two errors must be avoided. Is allowing Parliament to use Parliament powers to be usurped by executive action as it is the case currently. Secondly, to avoid judicial overreach or even executive preemptive decision to undermine the powers and the constitutional mandate of Parliament. These are the two errors we need to avoid going forward. And in avoiding these errors, let's ensure that an ad hoc committee is established. We determine the time frame of its existence, which should not be beyond 3 months, and ensure that this committee meets, or rather mandates, the legal office to go and prepare draft terms of reference. And this joint committee must meet to look, to amend it, deliberate on the terms of references, and ensure that the ad hoc committee embarks on the work that it has to do speedily without any waste of time. Lastly, what Reverend Meshwe, my good pastor, is not telling us, despite reminding us about the anger amongst the people, is that the system that we have in this country is itself inherently reproducing these tendencies and behaviors as we find and has been alleged by General MKHWANAZ'S. And until that we change the system, which is inherently corrupt and violent, the system of capitalism. It is only in capitalist countries where we've got these kind of things, mafia-style regimes that the ANC has unleashed on us. You go to Cuba, you don't have these kind of things. So until we do away with these things, the systems which is itself a problem, a breeder of all of these evil things that we heard about, the better for the country. And we implore upon everyone else to work towards a future and a system that is different from this one that produces this evil system. Thanks so much, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Dams has forfeited his 1 minute. We are supposed to be out here in the next 15 minutes. They want the chamber. So hence we must wrap up now. Honorable James, 30 seconds.
No, Chairperson, a minute. You know, I was listening to everyone, and it's quite obvious that we've all decided that we're going to go with an ad hoc committee. But today, as Action SA, let's put it on record that we are going to remain true to our convictions and are we going to be guided by my moral compass today. It has proven that these ad hoc committees, it has proven that task teams, it has proven that commissions of inquiries does not work and does not yield the results pleasing to South Africans. I've heard the input from 2 members where they said the outcome of these commissions of inquiries were favorable. Money was recovered, assets were frozen. We are tired of only seeing that. We want to see jail time. If we see that as being a positive, favorable outcome for South Africans, then I don't know where we're at. So this means we basically steal, and when we're done stealing, we pay back the money, and then we continue stealing.
That's noted.
So definitely not a commission of inquiry. I want to also say that there's not a trust deficit at this point. The trust between South Africans and South African Police Service has been completely violated. It is gone. And it is up to this House, it is up to these members to try and work towards restoring that trust. I still maintain that why do we have a portfolio committee on police when right now we are like a dog with no teeth?
It's over.
This matter should come to the portfolio committee and we should handle it like any other matter.
Sure.
It is for too long that we are guided by legislation. Apartheid was legal, but it didn't mean it was right.
Honorable James.
We have too much stuff that stands in the way of us simply serving South Africans in a simple way. The writing is on the wall, Chairperson.
Captured. Members, can I plead with you that the second bite is on new issues? Because it won't help us to repeat the same issues we've been discussing since 9 o'clock until now. Can we please do that? And the 1 minute has been withdrawn now is 30 seconds. Honorable Ghana, 30 seconds.
Thanks, Chair. I will accept the wisdom of the colleagues that we do the ad hoc committee. And that I think in light of what Honorable Matthias has said, it's important that we do convene next week to just look at this report that is going to be presented to Parliament. So we sign off on it. The last appeal, Chair, and this goes to all of us and those that will wish to be part of the ad hoc committee. It will be critical that we are not seen to have prejudged the matter in our public pronouncements. So I will appeal to all of us here that let's put the Batlarans, Marumofats, because what will discredit a parliamentary process, it's when people believe that we already have an outcome in mind and we are just doing it for compliance. So let's tone down in terms of prejudging the matters in the public space.
Yes, 30 seconds, Honorable Manyi.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Brief points. One, I think for us as MK, points have already been made that we don't trust this commission. Also that the person who it reports to, some of the implicated person, there's videos doing rounds. They are hugging and so on with Mr. Ramaphosa himself. So we don't think he's an honest broker in this deal. Ad hoc committees, because they've got dedicated people, they are vulnerable to corruption. So I think a joint committee is much more better for this thing than a dedicated ad hoc committee, which can be wined and dined. And I think on the separation of powers doctrine, I have to emphasize this thing. Lawyers were very clear about advise and not command, as it is. So I would suggest that let's err more on the side of allowing MKHWANAZI to do this work, and we just supervise him. So I was going to propose that perhaps we should set strict timelines for MKHWANAZI to say, by this date, have this charge sheet ready, have this indictment sheet ready, and then we have Friday joint meetings of report backs, as it were, so that we monitor his work because he's got the authority. It's all well and good for people to come and tell us things here, but we don't have the authority to do much about it. Thank you.
Honorable Skosan, 30 seconds.
Thank you, Chair. Though, I only had 1 minute when we started, but it's fine. The issue is, I didn't want to degenerate into politics here, but I've seen that there was a lot of politicking here, Chair, about, somebody who did not collect a trillion rand, which was misleading. And I don't think it's the right platform to mislead people here, because Tom Moyane collected for the first time over 1. Is that General MKHWANAZI said there's a member here in this parliament who's involved with General Sbiya. And we should not, run away from it. Those dockets, the 121, he said there's a member here. And if there's a member in this committee, please try to stay away from this committee. Because we are serious here. MKHWANAZI is us. We are MKHWANAZI. This matter has to be investigated deeply. I hope our colleagues, the DA who were with when there was Pala issue, you remember the Pala issue.
Thank you, Honorable Skosana.
And now they've turned the tune.
Thank you, Honorable Skosana.
Thank you.
That's noted. Even Pala is noted. Honorable Litchfield.
Litchfield Shabalala, there are two surnames. Thank you, Chair. I think from MKP, we are against the ad hoc committee, but for the sake of progress, because we sit here not as parties, but as representing our people, we will go with it. But we want to be very vigilant on composition in terms of reference, the time we want to take to complete that work.
Thank you. Honorable Mtaung, 20 seconds.
Thanks, Chair, for the opportunity. Quick one, Chair. I
am going to call Sergeant in Arms to remove Honorable Breitenbach here.
Chair, looking at the seriousness of the matter, I propose that we meet by next week, Tuesday, to deal with terms of reference and give ourselves timeframes in dealing with this matter. As and when we go for recess, at least we know that we are done with the administration and the preparations for us to start to deal with the investigations. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much, members. Of course, because we're supposed to adopt the report before going to the House on the 23rd. The first issue, members, I want us to look at is the issue relating to Honorable Adams. You'll recall that the legal advice spoke about a member of parliament, was even General MKHWANAZI did not mention a member of parliament by name. Now, it does come out from the engagements that Honorable Adams may have a possible conflict of interest in the matter. He's already also a complainant. He has already have opened a criminal case and all those things, the receipt of intelligence documents and all those things. But as when we're deliberating, or we're instructing the legal services unit to formulate another legal opinion for the next meeting, to attend to get a clearer approach of how do we attend to the Honorable Adams matter. The issue, members of the three committees, I think we must separate two things. The Speaker made a public announcement that she's referring the matters to three committees through a statement. But when she issued out an instruction, she issued an instruction to us, police and justice, to work together, and the intelligence work on the other side. But I think the point that members are raising, which is quite critical, is how do we then balance the two? How do we have a cooperative role in terms of approaching the matter that warrants us to deal with this matter? There is overwhelming view, Honorable Ghana, that we are going to the House on the 23rd to recommend that an ad hoc committee be established. And you are happy about that as well.
I said I've been convinced by other
Yes.
members, so I accept that.
I agree.
So
I agree.
yes.
Yes, so will be, but these are issues that are coupled to that they must be strict terms of reference, which must be adopted by this joint committee Tuesday next week on a virtual platform. There must be a strict time frame that must also be adopted by this committee Tuesday next week. We're saying virtual members, but the expectation is that some of the members may be traveling to the House, or the House may sit even earlier. So we're going to look at the times and try to allocate, because it looks like the House on Tuesday and Wednesday is sitting from 10 a.m. But we're still going to attend to verify that and all that. So in the meantime, let's say virtually until if we see a possibility of sitting. Parliament our committee is busy with the whistleblower protection laws, working with the Department of Justice. In due time, we'll be able to debrief in respect of that. The ad hoc committee, of course, is empowered to summon on behalf of the people of South Africa, whoever may have any form of evidence, including the president, can be summoned to bring, if there is a particular aspect that needs to be proven. So that's how it is. But it is a fully fledged committee of members of Parliament. I don't want us to get out of here with an impression that we are usurping our powers and giving them to a particular grouping of people who we call ad hoc. No, it's but we note as lessons the challenges that would have been raised in the previous ad hoc committees. I was part of the Section 194 committee on Abakan. I know the challenges we face there. We can't mask them. So it's part of the lessons that we have drawn, that this at least ad hoc must not be riddled with some of those things that delayed was. Our primary interest is to safeguard the interests of the people of South Africa. Honorable Chair, you can close the meeting now.
Thank you, colleagues. So just in summary, Honorable Skosana.
Yes, sorry to be just before you close. In the next meeting on the 23rd, can we ask the chief legal advisor who wrote this term of reference, this legal opinion, to come in here as well? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Skosana. Colleagues, as we close, I just want to give clarity on one or two things. The first one, why isn't SAPS here? The reason is we need to speak to each other about the way forward. So that's the first point. That's the only reason. We need to decide in order for us to take this process further. In terms of immediately engaging the executive, and I say it, I guess, tongue in cheek, but we have 3 police ministers at the moment. We have one on leave, one acting, and one coming in. So we wanted the correct platform, but we are going to engage, and we definitely are going to invite everyone. In terms of where's the other committee, I just want to emphasize that in terms of security clearance, that is one of the key reasons they meet apart from us. So unless everyone is vetted and unless we all go through that process, they can't deliberate on all the matters that they discuss there. And that's why some of the things we haven't previously discussed weren't discussed, because they are privy to that specific committee. In terms of just want to emphasize what the chair said about donating our responsibility. Certainly not, and I think the decision about the ad hoc committee indicates that. I just want to give clarity in terms of the so-called leave of absence. A lot of questions from all over the committees. There is no such regulation in SAPS's disciplinary code with regards to General Sabia. So it is irregular. It doesn't make sense. He should have either had to be suspended or placed on temporary transfer. It's one of the two, according to their own disciplinary code. Then the last two, just in terms of the legal opinion, the reason for the legal opinion being written the way that it was, the request was actually written before General Mkhwanazi's press conference, and it was regarding sub judice matters in general. It wasn't specifically at that moment related to just this. So it was with regard to the discussion of the Twetwe matter, of the Jaden Lee Meek matter, all of those things to get clarity on what could and couldn't be discussed. Then this happened, and it was added on. Just in terms of time lapsed, I think everything has gone quite well. It's 7 days after the press conference by General Mkhwanazi, and we are at a point where we can give an indication on the way forward. And I don't think, in terms of everything that had to be done to get to this point, that is too bad. That's it from me. I think we can close the meeting, and we will give feedback accordingly. Thank you.